name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. For the episode, as an episode of the MF135 6-speed restoration, I thought I'd just do a short video and we'll tie up a few loose ends. There's been a few questions people have been asking me and a few comments people have made about how I'm doing things and bits and pieces, so I thought I'd address a few of them and just answer a few questions. The comments I get back on my YouTube channel, look, they're great. It's a great way of having a chat and interacting with other people that watch the channel and with myself. Now, an email address if you have strife or you want to private message me about something is bundybearsshed@gmail.com. Now at the end at the end of each video there's a little end screen and that's got the email address there, but it's bundybearsshed, so BUNDYBEARSSHED, so there's two S's next to each other, @gmail.com. Now a couple of little things with this engine. You got eagle eyes, you buggers, you bloody and look, that's fine. On the injection pump, you'll notice that I drew I drew a little map of the number of holes where the spring went, and I drew the pivot, which I normally don't do, but I did, and I don't know why. And I put the spring in the wrong hole. It should have went in the hole, well, closest to the pivot, I think, and I put it in the other one. So I had to fix that. And it's funny, like when I film something for this series, you fellas, you wouldn't believe what we go up to sometimes and how many times we film things. Sometimes we'll film something, we'll get a bit of footage and I'll play it back in the shed here without any computers or that, just on the little monitor on the camera. And I'll have a look at it and I'll think, oh, no, we can't see that right, or something like that, so we'll go again. And we'll do it 2 or 3 times sometimes. Other times we just fly by the seat of our pants and away we go. So with putting the spring on the injection pump in the wrong hole, I picked that up myself in editing, but the pump was all together and all that, and I thought, oh, I just didn't want to go right back to that and film that sequence again. So I picked it up on editing, I popped the top off, fixed the spring, put it back on, and everyone picked me up on it, and look, that's fine. No harm done there, that's for sure. Another fella, he picked me up on when I first put the injection pump plate and the rollers together, where you mark, you can slide that plate up, and I lined the back of the mark to the line, and when I was doing the second filming of it, just running through again, I put it to the front. I realised where I had it and put it to the front. So the fuel setting is correct. But yeah, you don't let me get away with much. And look, that's fine. I'm happy to have comments and constructive criticism, and yeah, look, that's all good. Keep it up. Another thing, someone has suggested that I didn't film checking the ring gaps on the pistons, on the rings in the ball. And look, I checked a couple, but I didn't film it. And look, it's within spec, but last week I only got one piston in and just busy. And I've still got 2 pistons to put in yet this weekend, so I will film that now in this little series. It is fine, and then someone said because I didn't do it, the pistons were too, the piston was too tight in the bore. That's just not right. The piston's fine in the bore. I think our spec is 9 to 13 thou ring gap, and I'm sitting at about 12. So look, that's fine. The manufacturing nowadays is that good that I can't remember the last time I had to actually file a ring groove down to get a correct clearance, and it was too tight. this one, it's up on the higher end, that's fine. It will still have good ring tension. I do up vintage stationary engines, and I import the rings from America or wherever, and they're big 6-inch bore ones and things like that. I haven't done one for ages, I'm just keen on my tractors again at the moment. But I've had to file them a little bit and things like that. But manufacturing nowadays, it's pretty well bang on. They have some really smart machines. And not that it doesn't pay to check, like the bearings. You know, when we plastic gauge the main bearings on the crankshaft, we plastic gauge them, and look, the bearings are fine. The tolerances are great. And in filming this, sometimes, look, I would normally plastic gauge a crank anyway, but it's good to show people what I do, how we do it, and things like that. If you've got a better way of doing something, let us know. Over the years, I've employed people that have worked for me, and I've said, oh yeah, you do it this way, and they say, well, we're doing it this way, and I've swung over if it seems better. So let us know. I have some crankshaft thrust washers in my hand here. They're genuine Perkins. These are 7/1000ths of an inch oversized. Now, you remember when we did the end float of the crank, I think we're allowed 11th hour and we were on 10. 2 to 11 I think the spec was, if my memory serves me well. Depends how many beers I've had to how good that memory is. But anyway, that's none this morning yet at 6 o'clock. And so I've got 7th hour oversized thrusts. The Perkins number is 3113 7222 for the ones with the tag on them, and the round ones, the ones without the locating tag. It looks like their genuine Perkins part number is 3113 7212. I got these through Quality Tractor Parts out of Ireland. We're agents for them in Australia here, so we order them through Quality and they come out genuine items, so that's a good thing. So I'm going to pop the rear main bearing off and put the thrusts in, and that'll bring us with 7th hour thrust. That should give us 2 to 3 thou down the bottom end there somewhere. So that'll tighten that bottom end up a little bit, which is better. I felt it was better anyway. We were up the loose end, and with a little bit of engine wear, we'd be on spec, on maximum end float, and maybe over a little soon. So I felt comfortable going this way. Another thing that I've decided to do on the engine is, you will notice when we torque down the main bearings, this engine's never had lock tabs on the mains or anything like that. I can't see a sign of them at all. But on our Queensland Tractor Spares website and on many other websites, you can actually buy a lock tab kit for the 3-cylinder Perkins engine. So I sell them, and I was thinking about it. Yeah, you lay in bed. When you're old, you lay in bed and think about tractors. I just can't remember what young blokes think about. But look, I'm going to pop all the main caps, and I'm going to put lock tabs on them. It cost me very little to do, and it's a bit of security. There's lock tabs for the injection pump gear, and there's a whole kit of them here. There's lock tabs for the weights on the crankshaft, on the counterbalance weights. So while I've got the engine apart, I'm going to put these thrust on the head. These tab washers in, just to make me feel better about it. And I think that's all we have to cover. A brand new camshaft came through the week, and my timing cover. You remember I had a cracked timing cover, and if you hang with me for a sec, I'll show you something. Right, I'm not very organised, am I? You blokes should watch a channel where the fellas organise it, okay? This bloke's just bumming around a bit. So, we've got the new the new rear timing cover. If you remember my old one here, it has a crack coming along down the bottom corner here. And so I thought about V'ing it out and gluing it up with JB Weld or something like that, and I thought, I'd just rather do it properly, you know. I don't like shortcuts much. So I've got the new timing cover here. A couple of things I have to do. It comes with no timing mark for the injection pump. So we have to actually work out where to put that mark. Now, all the rooting around I did taking the injection pump off, showing you the piston height and all that sort of thing, that's where we'll benefit from that. We can go back to the G mark, was it? And yeah, run the test on it and see how we go. So the timing cover comes without the timing mark, so you got to put it on there. And look, it's just not quite in line with the injector pump mounting flange stud. It's just that way a 15th. That's a metric 15. Yeah, not an imperial one. Yeah, colours in America. Yeah. And so we got to pull these studs and put them in the timing cover. But the major difference is where the injection pump goes on here. The plate that sits on the front of the timing cover, the plate that you pull off to get to the 3 bolts, that has the oil filler on it. This new aftermarket one, it has a hole up the top there, and the modern engines must have and it looks to be a plastic oil filler tube. So we're not going to use that. I'm going to make a little plate and just blank that off. It's not going to be perfect. I don't do show tractors. I do tractors for Lance to drive around with a big grin and enjoy myself. So that's the only difference I can see. And with that sitting there, it's sort of on a bit of an angle, but I don't know, I said to Judy, it might be a good place to keep in mind for mounting a camera or something. So we have to work with that a little bit, but that's no big deal. But now we have this with the crankshaft thrusts. Once I've done the crankshaft thrusts, I'll run through putting the rear rope seal on. We should be able to time the engine pretty soon, so we'll see how we go. In this, I do have a piston ring sitting in the #1 piston at the moment. We'll pan around and have a look at that. And I'm using the new camera as of today. This is on the new Nikon, and when I did a stew last week, the sound was fading in and out a bit, and it was just a bit dicky. But it has a thing on the camera called wind reduction, so I've taken that off, and it said high something microphone, some big word, you know. I'm a tractor bloke, and so we've detuned the microphone a little bit. So how the sound turns out, let me know anyway. If it's shit, we'll sort something else out. The Lumix camera, the old one, I could plug a Bose shotgun mic, which would come directly to me if we needed to. I didn't realise when I bought the Nikon that it doesn't have a microphone jack. I just thought it would, and something I overlooked. So we have to work with that. I don't want to go through recording the sound separately, you know, on an iPod or something like that, then phasing it in editing. That'll just add a heap of work to the job. So anyway, let me know. You can hear the roof crackling. It's starting to heat up. Like I say, it's Saturday morning here. We're near the Burnett River, Sandy Hook, where they do the powerboat racing, and I went to get some fuel for the lawnmowers and that before I noticed all the boats coming in, so I've got to get in to do some filming early. This afternoon it'll sound like they're just roaring through the back door of the shed. Boy, are they loud. Really nice bits of gear though, and that's their hobby, and they get a buzz out of that, I'm sure. But anyway, look, we'll drop around. I'll show you checking the ring gap, just because I can. It's easy to do, so hang on a minute, I'll refix everything. Okay, I've got a piston ring and I've slid it down the bore carefully. And it's important to have that piston ring level or even in the bore, because if you have it on an angle, you won't get a proper reading. So I just slide a piston in down over the top there, and with the piston slid down over the top, we know we're pretty well right. And what you do, you get a feeler gauge and you try and, I think it's about 12. I think it's 12 thousandths of an inch. So we're up on the high end of it. So there's definitely not a tight ring. You can see there. And if you haven't got the exact spec on an engine, does that work better if I come in this way for you? You can see down the ring gap there. Slide your feeler gauge in there, and look, if you're in doubt, you haven't got the spec on a motor, if you go 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch per inch of cylinder bore, so this is 97, something like that, so just under 4 inches, say. So if you called it 4 inches, 4, 12, 16 thou, so 12 or 16 thou is fine. But down on the bottom end, you know, you come down to 9 or 10 thou with that. So look, the ring grooves are good. I need to put these pistons in yet, but that was just the main little thing for this video, was just to cover a couple of loose ends and have a chat about them. So there you go, that's it. Just a quick update. I'll probably just call this odds and ends or something like that. And every 10 or 20 videos or so, we'll jump in and have a bit of a chat about what's happened early in the piece, and if there's anything needs explaining or something like that, we can have a little bit of a chat every so often. A lot of people are watching this restoration that are new to it, and they haven't been bugging around with old engines as long as some of us old blokes have. And yeah, there's going to be questions out there. I had some when I was new to it too. So look, that's it. Thanks for dropping by. Watch an ad at the front. If the ads come on, watch them please. That helps fund the channel here. And if you like, give us a thumbs up. YouTube actually looks at the algorithms and they look at how much audience interaction we have. I've got 2 people that give me a thumbs down all the time. I don't know why, there's other channels. But if you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down or make a comment or something like that, the YouTube actually works that out as how popular it is, and they'll send more looks our way, and it'll be easier to find up on the list if you're looking for something particular. Another thing you'll find with the channel that we're just starting to do now is all the clips are going to have a little Bundy Bears Shed logo in the corner. So if you're scrolling down a heap of videos, yeah, it comes up down the side sometimes, you should be able to see the Bundy Bears Shed logo and hone in on that if that's what you're looking for on my channel. So we're making a few changes that we've been talking to YouTube about just becoming a bit more professional about what we're doing here. It's only me in the shed with the whole Kelly dog, and we're a bit rough around the edges, and we're going to try and make it a better viewing experience for people, and easier to find the videos and do things like that. So look, thanks for coming along for the drive so far. I'll get these thrust bearings in. No need to refilm that. I'll retension the crankshaft with the tab washers on. No need to film that, but I'd say the next part may well be fitting the rear rope seal. We'll catch you a bit later on, eh? Another thing on the engine, back when we were putting the main bearing caps on, you'll notice that there wasn't a dowel on one side of the main bearing cap. I'm just heading up to make one now. I went back through the footage, and when we pulled it apart there wasn't one. So at some stage someone's pulled this engine apart in its life and they've put it together without putting that dowel in. So I have the measurements for it. It's 3/4 OD. I can work on the depth and all that, so I still have to make that. So while I'm putting the lock tabs on, I'll take the time, I'll whiz up and I will actually make that and put it back in so I can tension it down. Once it's all tensioned down, we haven't got to revisit the crankshaft in any way. That's how little things go wrong, hey? If you don't have a system and finish off a particular section at a time. So yeah, just as a matter of interest, there was no dowel in there when we pulled it apart. So there was one on one side and none on the other. So we'll go and make one, and we can put all that to bed as well. Okay, I got my 7th hour thrusts, and I put them in the back and not the front. So we have standards still in the front of the rear main bearing cap, and we have 7th hour oversize in the back. And the reason I did that is I thought there'd be quite a bit of wear on the crank from the clutch actually pushing forward, the weight of the thrust bearing pushing forward. So if I push the crank back, I've got 0th hour. So I'm sitting on 0, perhaps half on that gauge there. And when I come forward, I've got about 4 roughly. So look, that's fine. 2 to 11, I believe, and we're sitting at 4 in there somewhere. So look, that's fine. Now I'll undo these bolts here one by one, and I'll put the lock tabs on. On the rest of the engine, yeah, you can just see there that I have done the lock tabs on the rest of the engine, and it was just do this rear main. Once I've done that, we'll start onto the rear seal.